can do to help to prevent ourselves and others from catching this?
I think that all of those practices have been fairly well discussed in the sense of social distancing, washing your hands, not having direct contact with other people if you can, outside of your family unit. Obviously, we have to be reasonable. You know, the efforts that the county has taken to minimize these large groups of people, I think that's wise. You know, initially we're all thinking, let's just get it over with. You know, why can't we just get it over with, right? Lots of folks think that. We need to slow the pace of this thing just to make sure that we don't have so many sick people at one time that we can't take care of them. So again, all of the hygiene practices and the social distancing, that's really what it boils down to.
Mr. Collins,
Yeah, and that's exactly why we're here today.
Right.
And we want to flatten the curve. And also, I want to thank you. I understand you put some precautionary measures. You're also the medical director, not only for our EMS but for our jail. And you put some screening procedures in place. To, you know, we certainly want to keep that. I know you modified our intake procedures there, and thank you for that.
Well, very on top of this and very ahead of the curve. I think I'm there to kind of help them medically, but they're the ones that administratively have really been driving this, and so their leadership is key. That's something else I want to point out real quick too, that I think we need to let everybody know as far as managing expectations is the fluidity of this thing. We keep hearing that, but it's important. You know, Mark and I, for example, last week were talking about how we were going to manage our paramedics, and are we going to check their temperatures every day when they come in, and some of these other kind of, I want to say extreme efforts, but more arduous efforts to screen for this thing, because that's what Baptist was doing. Well, then we started realizing that's not going to work for our guys, and in fact the CDC then came out and changed their guidelines to, if you've been exposed you have to be quarantined, to now you're not quarantined, okay? This thing is going to change every day, sometimes in the middle of the day, and my nurses at the jail, for example, called me this morning about a patient that they wanted to take in. He didn't sound that bad to me, and I said, sure, take him in, I'll manage him, that's my job. Well, then Chad was notified, and he said, no, we're not going to take this patient in. It's a minimal charge. It's not worth the risk. Let's send him home. So my nurse calls me back and says, what are we doing here? You said yes. He said no. And I said, well, that's a perfect example of we're going to do our best to make the best decisions in the moment with the information we have, but information is going to change. Every day we're going to get some new data, the medications that are out there, the best practice, what we can do with the supplies we have. We run out of N95s. I know everyone's making a big joke about it in the medical community, but use a bandana. I get it, it's not preferable to an N95, but if that's all you got, then that's what you work with. And so I wanted them to realize everyone's gonna have to be flexible. If you hear some conflicting messages, just understand that that is, I think, proper leadership, in the sense that when you get new information, you adjust. You don't just keep trudging down a course because that's what I said yesterday. And so it's going to change, and people can be expecting that change. Then, you know, I think they will be less fearful and confused when they hear some of these messages that evolve.